Welcome back to the Hockey Show, and today we're talking about the Columbus Blue Jackets, one of the handful of teams that have been eliminated from playoff contention, which, if you're an idiot, means they can no longer make the playoffs this season, and it is not a surprise. No one in the world was probably going to bet on this team to make it in. I would say between them and the San Jose Sharks were the least likeliest teams to make it in the playoffs this season, because even some teams like the Anaheim Ducks or even like the Coyotes especially, and maybe even the team like the Blackhawks, like someone could be like hopeful out there, like Taylor Hall. Remember that he was on the Blackhawks, right? Well, he is on the Blackhawks. Like in the year with the Devils, like he single-handedly was able to bring them to a playoff spot. They go in, and then with Hall and Bedard, who knows what could happen there? Maybe Mrazek goes on a crazy streak because he is a pretty solid goaltender at times. You never know. A team like the Ducks were kind of bouncing around at the beginning of the year, maybe towards playoffs. The Coyotes especially, they really fell off within the last half of the season, but the first half of the season, they were right there in the mix. But the Blue Jackets and the Sharks, I would say, were the least likeliest teams people could have bet on to make the playoffs, because these teams are atrocious, and they're not supposed to be good yet. And for me personally, I am still a really big fan of what's to come for the Columbus Blue Jackets, because right now, I think this season is kind of a bust year, because I would have rather have liked them to see a little bit more growth or stay really down in the bottom of the rankings. Instead, they are right now in 29th in the NHL. Last year, they were in 31st. They get the second overall pick. They draft Adam Fantilli, who looked like an absolutely fantastic player. They bring him in. He's having a good year. I'll talk about him more in a little bit. But right now at 29th, they're not going to be getting a Macklin Celebrini, most likely. They're not going to be getting one of those, huge, top 3 picks right now, They're right on the outskirts in that 4th pick, and over the past few years, sometimes 4th overall picks are some of the best ones, but you get what I mean. Those top 3 picks are, so essential, and right now they're kind of out of it, and I have a feeling they might go up a little bit more in the standings, but maybe not. I don't know. But as of right now, I would have liked to have seen them sink a little bit more, have a little bit more growth. So for right now, I feel like this year is a little bit too much of a stagnation of this team, and I would have, because I don't know, because they don't really need any more pieces, because they have a ton of youth talent on this team, just ready to blossom, okay? Let's start off with the ones on the roster. Kirill Marchenko, this year 18 goals, 34 points. And last year he was a little bit higher than that. In 59 games, I believe he had 21 goals, so he just scored a few more goals, handful of goals in 10 less games than this year. So for me, Marchenko, a little bit of a step back, but it is his sophomore season, so I guess it's okay. It's always the sophomore slump, so he'll bounce back next year. And 34 points right now for the 23-year-old. I mean, for a guy like that who is a true goal scorer on a team that cannot score goals, if he's paired up really well, I mean, Johnny Hockey is whatever, but if this team can get a guy like Adam Fantilli to become a true playmaker out there, or any of these guys that I'll talk about in a second, that'll be a huge, huge step forward for this team. Because right now, Marchenko, goal scorer, they need him to play that way, and they just aren't. Voronkov. Solid, out-of-nowhere rookie this season. 31 points. He's, I think, 3rd on the team in points, and he is up there in the top 10 in points in rookies this season. Out of nowhere, guy that gets no attention, and he's doing really good. 17 goals, 31 points. I think he's 20, whatever, something like that. Very young guy, rookie season, 31 points so far. Pretty good for a team that isn't very good. Adam Fantilli only played 49 games this season. He's been injured for a little bit now. 27 points this year, so he's at over half a point per game. So pretty good rookie season, and especially on a team so abysmal as the Columbus Blue Jackets. Cole Sillinger, 25 points for the 20-year-old. Alexander Texier, who's 24, so he's a little bit older, and he's the kind of guy that I see having doesn't need to be a huge player, but I can see him with a little bit more help being a 40-point guy. Kent Johnston as well, 16 points, 42 games played this season. So he's almost at a half a point per game mark. He's only 21 years old and also sick and killer as hell if you've ever seen his moves. Adam Bokvist and Jurasek on the back end of things. Adam Bokvist especially, 10 points. He's played 35 games this season. He's only 23 years old. And Adam Bokvist is a type of player that I see in a very well-rounded defensive system. With a little bit more development, maybe by next season, he could definitely be one of those defensemen that doesn't need to get a lot of playing time, but he's able to get some points on the board. And 10 points in 35 games for a very bad team like this, not too bad, especially for a young, not too experienced in the NHL offensive defenseman, because not a defensive defenseman, right? This guy is a pure offensive defenseman. And that takes, especially for a not superstar like Erik Karlsson, like Makar, it's gonna take a little bit more true development because he doesn't have all the tools and assets that like a Miro Heiskanen can still put points on the board just because he's such a good defender that it just turns the other way sometimes and he can get a couple bounced in assists. Anyways, Bokvist's pretty good. Jiricek had 9 points in 36 games played. He's gonna be a stellar defenseman for them as well. He's only 20 years old. And then some of the guys not on the team right now is Fozil, Kulemans, Matejchuk, and Dumas, who he's got a DUI thing, so I don't really know what's going to go on with him. But look at this. Right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 currently on the roster. I mean, Jurasek is currently in the AHL, so I guess he doesn't count, however you want to, if he counts or not, whatever. But currently, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 young guys on this team, below 25 years old, right now on this team, ready to go. That is almost half. Includes Svozil or any of these guys down here, that is half of your team that you're putting onto the ice to play. This team and all these guys are super. I mean, Fantilli, elite player. Marchenko could be an elite, I would say a high 30s goal scorer. Maybe not always a guy who can get another 30 assists. I mean, actually, no, yeah, 30 goals, 30 assists, a 60-point guy if he has some good backup around him. Voronkov, who knows how high his ceiling is. He's definitely at least a top 6 guy at this point if he can keep consistently playing like this. Fantilli, elite guy. Cole Sillinger and Texier, especially Sillinger. He's been absolutely unreal at times. And for him, 20 years old he only is. Only 20. This guy gets a little bit more developed, a little bit more time on the ice, and he can be a true offensive threat. Texier could use a little bit more help. I kind of feel bad for him. He's the type of guy that might need a change of scenery now that he's kind of getting to he is in the mid-20s. So, I don't know. Maybe he won't stick around for this team when these guys are all developed. Johnson, Bokvist, Jiricek. This team has a lot of guys under 25 years old. A lot of them are 23 and under that they've got a lot going on. And whoever they draft this upcoming draft as well, this team is set. In goaltending, they have a good guy, Tarasov, right? They've got good goaltending in the background, right? Coming up, ready to go. So right now, this team is not going to just flip next season, Everything isn't just going to flip on its head. This team, all these guys are going to just double their points and all get 60, 40 points, 50 points, whatever, right? They're all going to double their points. They're going to become an offensive machine next season, right? That's not what's going to happen. But this team, the Blue Jackets, have cap space, so they can keep these guys around, sign them. They can sign some extra guys to help them out in the offseason. So I would say this season definitely is a bad year for a team. But next season is where I would like to see a little bit more help. But the issue that I see with this team is that they do not have any, and I mean any, other than Goudreau and Boone Jenner, which Boone Jenner doesn't count. But they don't really have any, other, good experienced NHL players to prop these guys up. Because, like I said, there's 8 of them. These are 8 players. That's almost half the team. Who are the rest of the players on the Columbus Blue Jackets? They're either Johnny Hockey or Boone Jenner, somehow, who's an all-star. Somehow. Other than that, and I guess Alex Werenski in the back end of things. But other than that, they have no, other good NHL players that can really propel these guys up. They don't have Johnny Hockey on the first line, then have I don't know, like Elias Lindholm, I don't know, like someone else to just kind of give these guys a little bit more of a prop, that like someone like Marchenko can get fed the puck from Elias Lindholm and put the puck in the back of the net a few more times, right? They have no added help, and for me, in this team, if they don't want these guys to all just like slowly develop a little bit more at a time, they need to pump in a little bit of help offensively, especially offensively. I mean, they need help defensively, but they're kind of whatever back there. But for me, guys like Fantilli are not going to just spring out of nowhere, right? Next season, he is going to most likely jump up and get like more of like a 50-point season. Who knows, maybe like a 50, 60-point year. But everyone else in this team, they need a lot more help. So for me, the Blue Jackets, I'm very optimistic about what they do, and I think they have a lot of good things going for them. And now is the time for them, this offseason, to really kind of bring in some help and propel this team forward a little bit more and a little quicker. Because they have the potential. They just need to unlock it and not just let it slowly decay, where like one at a time they might leave. Maybe a guy like Texier might be ready to go off on somewhere else. Who knows, maybe a guy, Marchenko's 23 years old. Next year he'll be 24. Maybe that's the season where he goes, hey, I'm ready to win. And he gets tossed to a team, and let's say a team like the Lightning pick him up, and he turns into like a 40-goal scorer next year for them, you know? Stuff like that. You don't want these guys to be wasted away. And, yeah, so that's all I got to say. I know it's not much, but I'm just taking a little bit of a coverage of the Columbus Blue Jackets for you. So thank you for watching. If you made it this far, please, I'm begging you, pick up your free subscription down below. And until next time, too sweet. Have an amazing day. And ta-ta for now.